So we're joined all the way from San Francisco, California, out there on the West Coast by NBA legend, member of, and I will go through his accolades here in a second. Five-time NBA champion, director of university initiatives at the University of San Francisco, author of Living Life at the Center, Mr. Bill Cartwright. We thank you so much for taking some time for us today. This is our entrepreneurship class here at Velma Jackson High School. I've got a room full of students here with me. We have several other teachers across our school watching, and we're recording this for all of our friends in Madison County schools. My friend April Majors over at Ridgeland High School, Madison Central High School, Germantown High School, the Academic Options Center, and our YouTube channel. Now, before we start your story, we have to read real quick your list of accolades, which I will put up against just about anyone. So, two-time California High School Player of the Year, Mr. Basketball 1975 for the entire United States, two-time NCAA All-American, all-time leading scorer at the University of San Francisco, third overall pick in the 1979 NBA Draft, 1980 NBA All-Star, 1980 Rookie First Team NBA, three-time NBA champion, including playing in the second most watched NBA Finals ever in 1993. Two-time NBA champion as a coach, former head coach of the Chicago Bulls, former assistant coach of the New Jersey Nets, Phoenix Suns, member of the Sacramento Sports Hall of Fame, Bay Area Sports Hall of Fame, and most recently, the Bulls Ring of Honor. So just amazing what you've done there. So again, thank you so much for taking some time for us today.
Well, thank you for having me on. I try to be busy.
Now, obviously, we want to hear about your great NBA career and how you've turned that into a great business career. But like we said, most people, including myself, had no idea the beginnings you came from. So you are originally from Elk Grove, California, near Sacramento. So just tell us about before people saw you in the public eye, what your life was like and what you went through as a child and then becoming a high school basketball player.
Well, as I write in my book, my dad was from Texas. My dad's from actually East Texas. My mom's from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And you got to remember the times. We just worked. My dad was a farm laborer, so that's the kind of work we did. Big tomatoes, hoed sugar beet fields. So if you knew nothing else, we knew how to work. And that was a big part of it. I have six sisters, no brothers.
Wow.
So we just had to work together, two-bedroom house, and just live together, work together, get along. We've got strong family, so we've always had somebody around to be around you to protect ourselves, and that's how we grew up. And everything was just part of norm. So we didn't have a lot, but that was enough. We had enough to get by and go to school, do your best. That's all your parents tell you. Just do your best, and we'll be happy. So sports was a big part of me, mainly just to get out of the house, away from everybody. So I was probably a typical normal kid in that era of baseball, basketball, football.
Wow.
My first sport was baseball. I was a baseball.
Wow. Ooh.
Played first base, of course, because I was tall. And, really up till my sophomore year in high school, when I discovered, real talent I think I saw a guy hit, like a 400-foot home run. And I thought, you know what? I'm never going to be able to do that. So put all my energy into basketball. And luckily, I had a great high school coach with Dan Risley, who was thing was, more is better. So you knew that we played more. Uh, we played really hard, but nobody shot more. Nobody played more during the summer. We were lucky to play against older competition, which made us better. But it was more. We played more basketball, played at a really high level, and luckily, we had really good teams in high school. My team, when somebody says you can't win them all, they're wrong. By junior year, we were My senior year, we won Northern California championship.
Wow.
So, and I always talk about this is that because everybody loves the movie Hoosiers. Well, we were Hoosiers in that nobody expected us to win. And we won Northern California championship. Little Elk Grove High School went to the big city and took everybody down. So
That's awesome.
it just
Now,
looked,
yeah, and that led you to a great career. That led you to a great career at the University of San Francisco, where you were famously on the tallest starting front line in college basketball and had two appearances in the Sweet 16. But I think what I want our kids to understand when it comes to moving on in sports, because we have a lot of great athletes, we have a lot of great basketball tradition here at Velma Jackson, playing basketball on that level, even back in the 70s. The demand gets higher and higher the higher you go. So not only did you have to be a great player, University of San Francisco is one of the finest institutions in the country academically. So you had to be a great student and prove that you could keep up with academics while you're traveling and practicing. You couldn't just miss practice because you were tired. You couldn't say, "Well, I don't feel like this." You have a coach with a job on the line, you have a scholarship with money on the line, and you have to have a level of commitment to be able to play at a high level and perform in the classroom at a high level as well all the time. Can you hear me?
there. I got you back.
Okay. Okay. No, I was just talking about the level of commitment it takes as a Division I athlete. Because you went to the University of San Francisco, where you're still their all-time leading scorer. Had two appearances in the Sweet 16, but you were also a great student. University of San Francisco, one of the finest academic institutions in the country. So you had to be able to be at practice. You had to be able to be ready to play games at a high level, but you had to be a great student. And the University of San Francisco was not going to offer you a scholarship if they thought you were not going to be able to cut it in the classroom. So that commitment of time in the classroom and time on the court is so paramount for all of our kids that have dreams of playing basketball or any sport at that level.
Well, I was really fortunate to go to USF because USF, they really want you to do well. They really want you uh, to be successful and achieve your goals. And it's just all about, it's not about being a super student. It's just doing your best. Because if you can do that, you're going to be successful. And it's about working hard. And it's about getting the job done. It's about spending time with your teammates, your fellow students, and your professors, because everybody wants the same exact thing that you want. And it's just up to you to just put the time in to get that job done.
Wow.
And if somebody's telling me they can't do it, I'm not believing them because you can do it. Anything's
Yeah,
possible if you want it to put the
absolutely.
so you just work hard, do the best you can do, and things are going to work out just fine.
Yeah, and then obviously, after you finish your great career at San Francisco, you were the third overall pick in the first round of the NBA draft by the New York Knicks, and went on to have a 16-year NBA career playing against future Hall of Famers, going against Shaquille O'Neal, Patrick Ewing, Akeem Olajuwon, David Robinson, Moses Malone, and obviously going from college to the NBA or any professional league, it's going to even go up another notch because you've got to fly across the country. You got to be able to be on TV and play. Your team is depending on you. There's a lot of money at stake. And even now we're seeing with the growth of international players, if you can't cut it on that level, they're going to find somebody who can. So the commitment to excellence, the commitment to competition, the commitment to practice is in no greater place than it is in the professional sports world because of just the competitive nature of the teams, but the amount of money that's at stake and the amount of pride that's at stake.
Well, for me, it's not even about the money. It's about you. It's about who do you want to be. Look, because everybody's trying to accomplish the same thing. So you got to understand that when you talk about work, well, everybody works. So how committed are you? So when I was in high school, I knew, and this is a big statement, that nobody shot more than me. Nobody shot more. Nobody shot more than the gym. And that's what it's all about. The best shooters shoot more. The best players play more. The best students put the most time in.
There you go.
So it's all about having that commitment to just get it done and put the time in. And it's all really, really doable. And the interesting thing is that for the better players, they all seek each other out. Somehow you end up with the same guys who are willing to put the time in. And the same thing for students. And I can promise you, if you're going to school with, and I made sure that when I took my midterm and finals, I the guys that were with me were the best students. So when they're getting 99, I'm getting 90, 92. So I'm not as smart as them, but I'm smart enough to know that I need to be with them. So it's just having a clear understanding of what you want to accomplish and how much time you're willing to commit to it. And so you can't grade yourself by what you're going to get. You're just going to grade yourself by this is the best I can do. This is the best person I'm going to be.
That's
This is
awesome.
the best Bill Cartwright I'm going to be. And if you do it that way and you're happy with your own game at the end of the game, um, you're going to be pretty darn happy.
That's awesome. Now, we want to talk about your business ventures you've had since basketball, but before that, we've got to talk briefly about your amazing three-peat championship with the Chicago Bulls. After you were traded from the New York Knicks for Charles Oakley, the Bulls, Phil Jackson in his book has talked so highly of you about how you were so vital to those championships. So you were sharing the court with Scottie Pippen, Horace Grant, Michael Jordan, B.J. Armstrong, all who were all-stars, a couple Hall of Famers. But even then, you guys fell short a couple of times before you finally got over the hump there in 1991. So, as people that maybe have seen the clips that they're too young, or people that got to see it live, what was it, even though you had the best players? What was it that set that team apart to be so great and to be such a cohesive unit, to be able to manage all those different personalities and all those different skills, to be able to be the best team in basketball for 3 straight years?
Well, you got to remember, I was in New York for 9 years, and I'm fortunate to be able to be a starter. I was fortunate enough to be an all-star. I was fortunate enough to be able to establish myself. You talked about the fact that, the guys that I played against. So I remember my first game was against Daryl Dawkins, and people
Ooh.
understand what kind of guy this guy was. This guy was a physical specimen.
Oh, yeah.
Then my next game, I did play against Bob Lanier, and Cream after that, and then you get guys like Dan Issel, and the list goes on and on of guys you get tested with. So you really learn how to play. And along with having great coaches, my first coach was Red Holzman.
Yeah.
My uh, my teammate was Earl Monroe,
Wow.
Marvin Webster. One of my first games, I couldn't believe it. Dr. J's on the floor. Are you kidding me? So it's being able to play uh, with and against uh, great all-time players, coaches, guys that have been on my wall. So I just learn. I learn from them. I learn how to play. I learn how to guard because I couldn't guard. I could score like crazy, but I couldn't guard anybody. So it was just all about that learning, that process of being able to understand what's important. Because in case you don't know, in basketball, uh, your biggest value is to be able to guard. So I learned all that. So by the time I got to Chicago, I was ready for anything because I can guard, I can hold my own position, I can still score, and that was my value there. And um, I was in a perfect spot because we had great young players. My first coach when I got there was Doug Collins, and then here
Yeah.
comes Phil Jackson walking in the door. Phil Jackson, Tex Winter, Johnny Bach, Jim
Wow.
Clemens.
Wow.
Um, so our GM was Jerry Krause, who was probably the most innovative GM of all time. So I was just really very fortunate to be with great people. And I should mention this, we had a great strength and conditioning coach, probably the best of all time with Al Vermeil.
Yeah.
Uh, so I was able to stay strong and actually learn different things. Like, for example, uh, one thing that I learned was how to run. I never knew that. I never knew there was running drills. I never knew there was a proper way to run or to train.
Wow.
I did Olympic lifting, style lifting. So everything was learning. It was really an atmosphere of learning how to play together. It took us 2 years to overcome the dreaded Detroit Pistons, even though they were better than us, mentally, physically. But once we did overcome them, and we should thank them, that we won three straight championships. So all of that and coming in there, 9 years in New York, 2 years of overcoming the Pistons, it was just constant learning how to get better, learning we already knew what was possible, but and finally hitting my goal and winning a championship in Chicago, which was amazing.
That's incredible. And I think it's so cool because you talked about being prepared for anything, and so many things you just said about basketball can be applied to business. Because after your playing career, you famously were an assistant on those uh, uh, the first two championships of the second three-peat. You were the head coach of the Chicago Bulls after Tim Floyd there for a little over 2 years. And I do think it's hilarious. You wound up coaching the person that you were traded for a short time when Charles Oakley played for the Bulls there during your head coach tenure, which I just think is just such a funny story when it comes to the way the NBA works. But one thing that I think about that you've done now is just so impressive is your life didn't end with basketball. You've been able to do so many things. You've been able. I know you and your wife have the Cartwright Downs Company. You've been able to be a owner of Froggy's Restaurant there in Chicago. You've worked in the car industry, and you have such a great role there at the University of San Francisco. So, as you know, because obviously everybody's not going to play in the NBA. Every kid is not going to be a star athlete. Some kids might not even like basketball. But there are so many things that you can learn as you grow older and start getting this experience of being on a team, being a leader, and using that to run businesses and using that to sell yourself and communicate. Because, these kids all the time get so upset that I make them present and make them talk to people and sell things. But that is such an important part of business, and it's such an important part of just being a human. Being able to walk in a room and introduce yourself, being able to say, "Hey, here's what I'm looking for. Here's how you can maybe help us." So, even though you are having a legendary basketball career, I know you are just as proud of your business career, and now with the book that's come out about your incredible life.
Well, I'll tell you what, a big thing, and what happens to a lot of kids is that I knew I could work. I knew I could work longer, but like a lot of kids, the vision was for a lot of kids is to, maybe you'll graduate from high school and you'll go to work. Maybe you'll go to a junior college and you're going to go to work. Maybe you'll go to a 4-year college and you're going to go to work. And it wasn't until I went to USF that, and I still remember this, and I talk about it in the book, that I heard a conversation from these two guys, and they were little guys, physically little. And they, you know what they were talking about? They were talking about having their own company. They were talking about being CEOs of companies. And nobody had ever talked to me about that I could have my own business, that I could be a CEO of a company. And I'm thinking, if these guys could do that, I can do that too. So since that day, I have always been more of an entrepreneur because I wanted to have my own businesses. So for the first time I entered the NBA, I was thinking about doing that. And I did have that experience of being able to have my own business, being able to be in the car business, being able to be in the restaurant business, taking that responsibility on. Now, I got to tell you, that's not easy either. because I was bound and determined to be in a business that was that people needed. That's why I like the hair business. That's why I like the car business. That's
There you
everybody's
go.
got to eat. So that's why I like insurance. So in my thinking, I could, those are businesses that I could compete at. And if I could do that, I'm going to be successful. But just to have that idea and understanding that you could be your own boss. Now, and I'm going to make this clear because there's so many leadership things going on now. Everybody doesn't want that responsibility, and that's okay too.
Oh, absolutely. But you can think like an entrepreneur and be a great employee.
Absolutely. There's because everybody has their role. It's like being in your role in a sports team. Maybe you're not a scorer, but you're a great defender. Maybe you're not a scorer, but you're a great ball handler. Everybody has their role, and to be able to identify that is equally as important. But you can be successful as whatever you want to succeed at if you're willing to put the time in to get it done. So um, don't be afraid to go for it. Shoot for the moon, land on a star.
Yeah, and I think it's funny you say that because I've met a handful of people that have really spent a lot of time around Michael Jordan, and people have mixed views about his personality and everything, and that's fine. But one thing that everybody has said, as great as he was on the court, you have no idea how hard he worked. And then even Terry Francona, his coach in Birmingham in baseball, said he was the first one in the batting cage every day. So the greatness that we see from so many people, they're working to get there. They're going to that's business, that's sports, that's life. The hardest workers are the ones that are going to shine at the end of the day.
What you can do is just to make sure you do your best. And I think he made the right decision going away from baseball. I think that was
Uh, I'm not disputing that. I'm just saying what his coach did say.
you appreciate the hard work though. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Is that to put the time in, to work extraordinarily hard, and you'll find out where you should be. So it's just what life's all about. Just doing your best.
Absolutely. Well, I do have some questions here, and then any of the other teachers, if your students have questions, put them in the chat. But I've got some that are here with me, and these are really good. I like these. This first one is Cameron Hamilton. He's in 11th grade. He's a member of our drum line here at Velma Jackson. Also has a big goal to get into some sort of construction business. One of our carpentry students here at Madison County School. So he's got a lot of talent, and he's got a couple questions. But he asked, throughout all of your success, what is it the one thing that you're most proud of?
Well, I'm proud of a lot of things. For one thing, I should mention is that I have four kids of my own,
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
three boys and a daughter. Well, they're old now; they're all in their 40s. But I have eight grandkids, and you know, the thing is that when I grew up, I grew up in a really big family, and we're really close. So I'm really pleased that we still have a really close family. We have, you know, really protective of one another. Somebody needs help, we do it. And what I've really learned most of all is that when I was a kid, I had people help me along the way. And you know why they helped me? They wanted me to do well. They didn't want anything. They just wanted to help. So I'm really pleased with the fact that I'm able to do that now, just to help people along their journey, along their path. Anything I can do to help, I'm just really happy to help. So that's what I'm most pleased about.
That's awesome. And like I said, even though I'll put your basketball career up against most people's, it's just incredible all the other things you've been able to accomplish after that and using that as a vehicle. And it's just amazing to see all the things you keep doing. But he's got another question, and this is funny because he asked, obviously you played before I was born, but my parents are very big fans of yours. So how does it feel knowing that a generation after yours came along and saw your jump shot on YouTube and other social media platforms and has had such a great influence?
Well, I will say this, it's interesting because my jump shot has changed over the years. So people see my shot as a full, but never as a nick because
Oh, that's fair.
it was totally different. So um, I mean it's nice for people to acknowledge that, but it was not always that way. It's kind of like people seeing old footage of Babe Ruth running the field, and he's 30 pounds heavier than what he was, not understanding that this guy was built like a fullback in his younger days.
That's awesome. But yeah, I just thought that was funny because none of the kids that are with us were alive when you were at your, at the peak of your career. But all of their parents and all of us teachers remember very vividly when you were playing. And I just thought that was funny that he remembers, he knows that shows the influence you have all these years later. This is LaKidrick Harris. I'm sorry, LaKidrick Harris. I always say his name wrong. He's also in 11th grade. And he asked, after your playing career, what was the biggest person to influence you to get into coaching?
Oh, Jared Krause. Jared Krause.
Wow.
You know what? I was going to be with all my brilliance at the end of my career, I ended up going to grad school at USF and getting my master's. So my first business was going to be a McDonald's operator.
I remember reading that. Yeah.
And I was going to McDonald's U. I was ready to go. I got a phone call from Jerry Krause, and he basically talked me into coaching. If it wasn't for him, I would have never coached. So I really owe a lot to him because he talked me into it, and then I kind of believe maybe that's the direction my life should be taken. Because I was coaching junior high school kids and I loved it. We still had basically the same guys that were on the team when I was there, so I was able to come back and then play that role. So I really attribute a lot to Jerry Krause for bringing me back and helping me, in another 15 years of coaching.
That's
I
awesome.
did that to him.
Yeah, and you just look at the list of players that you coach just in your short time coaching in the NBA. Future NBA six man Jamal Crawford, USA basketball participant in a couple of events. Tyson Chandler, uh, member of the Fab Five, Jalen Rose, and then your time with the Nets and the Suns as well, working with some of the greatest players that we saw of that era. Really, really cool. But I will add, and I've got to throw this in for my coaches. Coaching is a lot harder than it looks. Now, this is coming from somebody that's a referee. Coaching is a lot harder than it looks. It's not just when the game starts. There is so much that goes into it that I think people have no idea, especially on the NBA level, because on top of all that, you have to fly across the country. You've got to have microphones in your face. You got to have cameras in your face. You've got to answer questions all the time. And on top of all that, you got to deal with guys making millions and millions of dollars that are not in high school or anything like that anymore. So very, very difficult job. And the fact that you were even able to attempt it speaks volumes about your ability. So I did want to throw that in, and I see Coach Harris giving me some reactions right now. Definitely wanted to throw that in because it is a much more difficult job than people realize.
Yeah, it's basically you're worried about everything. And you're right. I was more tired as a coach than I ever was as
Wow. Wow.
because you have to worry about everything. You got to worry about, you know, all your other players, your coaches, what's next, what's tomorrow, what's the game after that. Even if things are going good, you still have to understand you just won a game. You played great. Boy, you know what? We're playing tomorrow. So what are we going to do? So everything is just a constant build up for the next game. So it can never get too low, never get too high. It's just like a big chess game out there. But I loved it. It was great. It was fun. I was geared for it. It's a great life. I was just really just very, very fortunate to be a part of it.
That's awesome. Oh, and I also got to mention you coached future Chicago Bulls head coach Fred Hoiberg on that team as well. One of my favorite players growing up. So I just thought that was cool. But we're almost out of time, and we thank you so much again for taking some time for us. But a couple of things before we go, we got to mention now available online, Bill Cartwright, Living Life at the Center, available on BillCartwright.com and where books are sold. I've started on it. Just an incredible story for even if you're not a basketball fan, just such a great inspirational story. And you know, you said it yourself. I never thought as a kid in Elk Grove, California, I'd be able to do what I've done today. Which leads me to what I wanted to close with because you know, like you said, so many kids give excuses. Well, I came from here. My parents are XYZ. I can't do this. I can't do that. This is against me. And look, you will never hear an argument from me about things that have not been in rural communities for years. There's been a lot of things that the black community did not have access to. There's been a lot of things that women didn't have access to. But at the end of the day, there's never been a better time than right now to do something with your life, to start that business, to decide the path you want to take. And just because you haven't seen it doesn't mean you can't be the first at it. And just because you're the first at it doesn't mean you can't be the best at it. So as these kids start making decisions for their life, what they want to do, how they want to serve, the career they want to do, the business they want to open, what can they remember about how to overcome these obstacles? Because you face just as many obstacles as anybody on earth, and look at what you've done with it. So how can they be just as successful as someone like you facing the same obstacles that you faced as a child?
Well, look, there's always going to be, and I would say it's at least, I don't know, maybe 5 to 1. Somebody going to tell you what you can't do. Absolutely, 1,000%. And I never believed that there's that I can't do something if I put my mind to it. And I think what you'll find is that you need to be around positive people. And I was really fortunate when I grew up because my nobody's more positive than my dad. My dad's an extraordinarily positive and a happy person. So one of my favorite sayings is that if you think you can, or if you think you can't, you're probably right.
There you
So
go.
I know that you're definitely possible if you believe it. And if you've got negative people around you, get rid of them
There
and
you
find
go.
because there's some great things out there. You know, I just turned 69 this year, and you guys are, what are you guys, like 16 or 17? Jesus.
15, 16, 17.
Oh my God, you
I
guys,
would give anything to be that again.
anything, anything. You guys have such a great opportunity to do great things. And I just wish everybody so much luck and just keep moving forward and stay really, really positive. And great things are going to find you if you let them.
Awesome. Well, again, we thank you so much for taking some time for us. One of the greatest NBA centers of all time, Bill Cartwright, five-time NBA champion, author of Living Life at the Center. We thank you so much for taking some time for us today.
Thank you so much. I definitely appreciate it. If you need me again, let me know. I'm always around.
I,
Here
we'd
for it.
love to have you. Love to have you, and I'll introduce you to some folks that you asked me as well. So talk to you soon, my friend.
All right. Awesome.
See
Thank
you.
you.